I know what I can do. There we go, look. Right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Right. Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, or whenever the hell you are watching this. We are here with our brand new world champion, Killian. Oh, actually, I wouldn't say brand new. You're a double world champion now within SRL slash SVOR. Obviously, winning the season 3 title in SVOR, and just recently won the SRL title. So I guess I could say welcome back. Um, how does it feel to be champion again within this league?
It does feel good after the way the season started. The first two races, I didn't feel like I would have a chance, but things have gone my way, and here we are. It feels good.
A nice battle with Havoc, who probably kept you on your toes for majority of the season. But ultimately, I think Britain is where I think he may have lost it after his very odd strategy for going on to softs or whatever it was, mediums, on a very damp track.
Yeah,
That was a very odd decision. And then me spinning him. My apologies. But yeah, obviously you won in season 3, which out of SVOR, which would you say it was like in terms of winning the champion? Which one would you say is better, season 3 of SVOR or season 4 of SRL?
I would say the season three one because it's gonna sound horrible, but obviously Joe had his issues this season and he couldn't get to most races, whereas last season he was always there, he was pushing me, that kind of stuff. So last season, well not last season, but the season three one I would say. That one felt more rewarding, and because it was the first one as well.
Yeah. Because you mentioned Joe, I assuming let Joe.
Yes.
I'm going to assume because Despair is nowhere near winning a title just yet. No disrespect to Despair, he has the ability and all that kind of stuff, but he just gets into incidences. He's done well this season though. He's missed a few races due to being on holiday and all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do believe Joe is actually returning next season, so we could see
Brilliant.
another rivalry between you two again. Um, so in terms of this season, I think there's 3 rounds to go. I believe
Yep.
Japan, Brazil, and I think it's Abu Dhabi. I
Abu Dhabi,
think.
yeah.
Now that the title is all wrapped up, obviously constructors, I do believe a double podium from Aston Martin if obviously Jezzy races this week or next week. Sorry. I do believe a double podium will seal the constructors. Will you be taking a bit easy for the rest of the season, or will you still be going kind of full guns blazing in every race?
I would probably tone it down a little, but at the same time, the constructors are still there to play for. So if everything's still in play, I don't see why we still can't go full foot to the floor. Let's get everything wrapped up, and then the last two races we can kind of sit back and go. Yeah, we've had a good season. We deserve this. Let's tone it down a notch.
Yeah. So from my calculations, and for the last few races, it hasn't been exactly on point, but I do believe with 3-1-2 finishes plus the extra points for fastest lap and Grand Slam, there is 87 points remaining. There's a 63-point gap, so that's 24 in between. You would need 25 in this upcoming race. So that's basically P1 and it would be P1 and P3 to basically guarantee you constructors. Anything kind of above that is well, you basically win anyway.
Yeah, that seems it.
I believe I think it's if you finish second or you finish third, and then I believe it's Mercedes that's still in contention. Um, and I think Red Bull are just about clinging on. Hello, I'm Red Bull as well because I got given it. Absolutely blessed. Let me just have a look at the standings now. So you're basically winning constructors by yourself, quite literally. We've seen that already before. That was John season 1 in McLaren, and he had enough points to win constructors by himself. Um, Mercedes on 129, Red Bull 126. So there's quite a battle between Mercedes, Red Bull as well. Um, Obviously, with Joe not turning up, it's kind of cush by himself, so I might have to give him a teammate for the last 3 races. Who needs a? Uh, Maybe I'll whack Luke in the Mercedes. Um, but yeah, based off this season, how do you feel? Obviously, you've won the championship, so I can probably see where this answer is probably going to go. But all in all, how do you think this season has gone for you?
It's been pretty good to say the least. The 6 race win streak, that's probably quite good. Not finished off the podium since USA, which was the third round. It's been fairly decent, but like I said earlier, the start of the season did not bode that this would be in the future, with Bahrain the first lap, and then Australia being hit into the wall, and then just from there on out it just kind of leveled itself out, and yeah, it's been it's been pretty good.
I mean, you've turned up to every race barring one, which was Mexico. I can't remember what your excuse was for that, but your lowest finishing was P5 at Australia, and you've had successive podiums. Um, I guess the only person that can probably Havoc. Yeah, I mean he
Mhm.
hasn't missed one race. His lowest finishes was P8. That was due to me killing him, um, but yeah, obviously going into next season, it's not a lot to be kind of spoken about yet. Obviously the calendar has been released. Um, what are your expectations for next season? Being it might be, I still haven't decided yet. Me and the admins are still talking about whether it'll be our last ever season. It all kind of depends on the next year's game and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
going into next season, what are your expectations? Do you feel like you become a triple world champion, or do you feel like with Joe and maybe potentially some other quicker drivers coming in, do you feel like maybe your title defense could be a little bit harder compared to what most people are thinking?
I think the aim has to be, like defend the title well, try and become the third world champion here, and then if we wrap up the constructors, try and keep that as well and keep that streak going. But with Joe coming back and then more other people or more other quicker people coming in, it will probably be a harder challenge. But you don't know how hard you can push until you've got even quicker people behind you that's pushing you further as well. So it will be interesting, but the aim does have to be defend the title. That's what I'm aiming for.
Well, whilst you were just talking there, I'm going through the Aston Martin car, 'cause obviously that is the car that you've won
Hmm.
your title. I'd never realised Aston Martin was sponsored by TikTok. I never even knew that. Didn't even know it was on their car. So, but yeah, there's not really much else to say. Obviously, I guess I could mention some things about, is it season 5? Yeah. I am picking teammates because we did that in the first ever season, and because this might be our final, I get to pick teammates, and the admins are on board with that. So if you want a specific teammate, you know where to DM me, I suppose. That
Hmm.
goes for all drivers, not just. Actually, you do have probably first choice, I suppose, seeing as you are world champion. If you were to pick a teammate, obviously a lot of quick drivers on the grid at the moment. Uh, who would you want as teammate?
Realistically, well, obviously like keep it fair. I wouldn't want someone like Joe or Kush or Reese. Like, as amazing as those guys would be to have teammates,
We'll give you Shadow then.
it would probably it would probably just like decimate the constructors, and it wouldn't be much fun for everybody else. But I think
Well, we thought about that this season when teams were being done. Who did we have? I can't remember the start of the season, but we had Bonge and John together, who we thought was going to absolutely destroy. We had Joe and not Joe and Despair, Reese and Despair, who I thought were going to ultimately destroy it. And then we had the Mercedes pairing of Joe and Kush, and Kush has missed a couple of races.
yeah,
Not Despair. Joe has obviously he was more of a reserve driver, but kind of kept a full-time seat. But I don't really think having a bad team, as you've proven this season, obviously Jezzy hasn't raced all the races, but you're still with like obviously your wins and higher positions up in the table. You've kind of cemented that championship all by yourself. Obviously Jezzy has been there to
yeah,
kind of give you those points that you probably will need. You never know. You never know what will happen in these last three races. You could crash out at all of them. You never know.
exactly.
Anything can happen. But obviously, next season is in January, so not really that long to go. What about a month and a few days to go? Obviously, we have Christmas in that time. We were going to do a Christmas Cup, but we only had like 4 people sign up, so I think
Yeah,
we're just going to give drivers a nice relaxed break all over the winter. Obviously, season starts on the 9th at the Bahrain Grand Prix. That'll be interesting, which I believe you won. No, you came second. Who won that race? Joe.
Joe won that
There you
one.
go.
Yeah,
I think that was quite close between you two, though. I don't think there was that much
I
of a
think we were side by
gap.
side. We were just behind each other for most of it, and then coming out of the pits for the second stint, I think he got ahead of the traffic and I didn't. I think that's how.
Uh,
I think he was like 5 seconds up the road or something, and I just couldn't catch.
Traffic this season for you has been a big thing, and especially in the last few races. I have a look in the Discord when we're on in qualifying, and then at the end
Yeah,
of the race, you seem to get behind a lot of traffic. One particular person, we're not going to mention names, but I mean I've had some run-ins with this particular driver as well, so I can feel your pain on that one.
yeah.
Um,
I
I'm
understand that
not.
people are on laps. I can get that, but when like you've made a mistake or you've run wide and there's like quicker people behind you, they abort the lap or just lift off the racing line and then still complete it and use that as a banker. Because at the same time you've ruined your lap and then you've ruined someone else's lap behind you as well. And then all kind of cascades and then it's a big argument and no one wants that. So
So throwing it back to Monaco, quite a big race for yourself, a nice battle with Reese, and that race for yourself caused a bit of drama between you and Reese, where uh, he was, well, you were behind him for, I think was it all race, I
yeah,
think.
I was stuck behind him
Um,
from like lap 4 onwards.
and obviously a lot of steward submissions from yourself. How did you feel during? Obviously, because we haven't had a stream for like the last few, we will hopefully have one for Japan, because John has already said that he should be back. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have streams for the rest of the season. Fingers crossed. But yeah, how was you feeling during that race? Obviously, Monaco, a very prestigious race, and not just in real life F1, but even like finishing it on the F1 game is quite an achievement.
Yeah,
Um, so during that race, battle with Reese, how was you actually feeling? Because obviously there was a lot of stewards' inquiries and all that kind of stuff. So just give us a few words from that, obviously, race.
it was the qualifying didn't go well with like, another being stuck behind Despair as well, and then Reese starting ahead. I was a bit I didn't want to throw around the word being like, oh, it's like a big conspiracy, he's done this deliberately, but the thought did come into my head, and I was like, that's a little bit dodgy. And then off the start, Brad, I think, spun off into hit the wall in turn one and collected Reese at the same time. So then from like lap
Oof.
four onwards, I think that was Reese had damage, and then I didn't, and I was just stuck behind them, and I was slowly getting more impatient, and it eventually dried up. Decided to take the. I do admire Reese for trying to stick it out on the inters. I do admire that because the gap was like 20 seconds with 12 laps to go. I didn't, in fact, it was 8 laps. I didn't think I was going to close it, but managed to
Lo and behold.
completely ran out of battery trying to get past, and the full race he'd been moving under braking quite a lot, so I knew what to expect. And then last lap, went for the move.
Death happened.
Yeah, he's on the wall. I managed to keep going. It's almost like a tradition at this point that on the last lap at Monaco, I need to like put a McLaren on the wall. And it's been at that part of the track twice because I did it to Elias
I believe
in season 3 as well.
we also have Monaco on next season's calendar as well. I believe.
I just
Wait.
hope it's dry.
I mean, I could always make it dry. I do have that. Well, I mean, I probably won't have that power next season. I don't think I'm actually racing next season. I'm still waiting to hear back from John on what he wants to do. It's either me race or he races, or I stream or he streams. It's one of those. But obviously, still got a long time to
Yeah.
go and wait for season 5, which will most likely be our final season. I don't really want it to end, and some of the drivers don't want it to end, but if it's on next gen, like completely for next gen, I don't want to force people to be like, oi, go get a Xbox Series console or
Yeah.
whatever. I can't really force people to do that, so I'm sure we will come up with some other plan to potentially keep SRL, even if we change the name to something else and go to a different game. Because I know Project Cars 2 still has a big following, so I'll probably do like a championship on there. I was supposed to do that years ago, but we never got around to doing it. But yeah, obviously Japan next, and then Brazil, Abu Dhabi. What are your chances of winning those races?
I think Japan is easily my strongest track out of the three. I'm not comfortable around Brazil or Abu Dhabi at all. So Japan probably aiming top 3, and then Brazil probably top 5. Abu Dhabi will be the same. 'Cause
Do you know if your teammate's racing next week?
not 100% sure, but if I tell him the constructors is on the line and we can wrap it up, then he probably will.
Well, I have got some good news. Confirmed so far is yourself, me, your best friend, Mr. Shadow, Brad, Reese, Havoc, and your teammate, apparently.
Oh my god, he's actually turning up.
Who's not right? Oh, Rux isn't turning up. That's no surprises there. How many do we actually have for next season? Let's have a look. Got 14. Plus, potentially Bonge, potentially Paperstream, and potentially my girlfriend might be racing. Because she's actually quicker than some of the drivers already, so that's, she's quicker than Jack, which is Eclipse. She'll probably be quicker than Shadow, and potentially Gangster Al. But I've got to teach her kind of the assists that we don't use, because she uses, like, ERS and DRS and all that kind of stuff, so
Yeah.
that'll just have to teach her to do all that kind of stuff, which shouldn't be too hard, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been lovely talking to you, Killian. I'm sure you've got a full packed day, I'd imagine, being a F1 champion, go practice or something, I don't know.
Long day of Football Manager ahead.
Yes, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'll probably play House Flip or just stay on YouTube all day. That's what I usually do. But yeah, that is it from us for this lovely interview with the world champion. We will hopefully, you'll be able to see us hopefully on Monday if John is well enough to stream. I I'm going to leave you with Killian to say some words of wisdom.
Um, Number one tip for league racing: never ever stop. Only time you stop is if you've lost a wheel. Always keep going, never stop. And massive shout out to Havoc for brilliant season. Did really, really well. Saudi Arabia especially loved it. It was really, really good fun. And hopefully we can challenge it again a lot more next year. Jezzy for being brilliant teammate. I know you've only done 3 races, but being there when we needed you, you've got the points that we needed. And shout out to admin team, stewards, wouldn't be here without you, and everyone else that turns up weekly to take a wee bit of time out of their day and have some good fun racing around the tracks.
Lovely jubbly. Talking of Saudi Arabia, I actually broke my front wing letting Havoc through. That's all I'm saying. I wasn't paying much attention, and I just like steered to the left ever so slightly to let him through, and I put myself in a wall. It's lovely. But yeah, we'll see you soon. Hopefully see you at Japan, and yeah, goodbye.